Good afternoon, students. Good afternoon, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. In our last class, I had given certain home assignments, kind of a homework. Did you guys able to go through that? Hackers, crackers, black hat hackers, white hat hackers, and gray hat hackers. Has anybody done it?
Yes, sir, somewhat.
Somewhat. Yeah. Shall we discuss on that area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Yes. Would you start? Whom you can call it as a hacker or whom you call it as a cracker? How do they basically different?
Sir, basic definition from where hacker term came from was from the old spaghetti westerns.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a article. I had read about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, how much you know about it? Let us see. We'll discuss it.
Yes, sir. So these guys' appearance was they were bad guys who used to wear those straw hat caps, like hats.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this was the term came from those spaghetti westerns.
Okay.
And so there are types of hackers like white hat, black hat, and all.
Mm-hmm.
And white hat are basically called as ethical hackers. Like
White hat
they
hackers
break
specifically.
into some
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so ethical hackers.
Okay.
So these never intend like they don't like what do you say? Their intention is not to hack the system, like harm the system. They just have
Mm-hmm.
to collect the data what they want, and they proceed for their work.
Okay. Fine.
Like they don't interfere in they don't modify any of the work,
Huh?
uh, the opposition's work. They just do their work what they want, and they collect the data and they proceed for further task.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't know much about other hackers, just I know about ethical hackers.
Great. Great. Good information. Anybody else, students? Okay. When the terms comes with respect to hackers and crackers, broadly we can say, or in simple words, few of them say that hackers, when it is a distinguish between hacker and a cracker. Okay, I will just try to first discuss with respect to hacker and a cracker. In simple terms, few of them say that hackers are good, crackers are bad. Okay, so what do we mean by this good and bad? Is that the purpose of using the or purpose of cracking the system or breaking into the systems like computers or the it could be networks, if it is for the good reason, okay, then some of them they call it as a hackers. If it is for the bad reason, then they call it as a cracker. But it is a debatable that actually the hackers are someone who will break into the systems in order to do certain mischief things in that one. Based upon their intention, we can have the categorization as a black hat, white hat, and a gray hat. Okay. As you know that the words, the black and a white, so they try to depict black as a bad thing and a white as a good thing. Okay, so in that way, the black hat hackers are the hackers who try to break into the system, and the purpose of doing into the breaking into the system is for illegal means. Suppose if a particular hacker is there and they want to take the advantage of the network, like it could be with respect to the finance of a particular person, or it could be with respect to the social media networks, like their username and credentials they want to steal and use it for the illegal purpose. So if the intention is for the bad purpose, then we can call them it as a black hat hackers. Now, who are the white hat hackers? So here the word depiction that is white means for the good purpose. These are the usually we call them as a ethical hackers. The white hat hackers are usually we call them as a ethical hackers, means they have certain ethics involved in hacking into the system. The purpose in known and the use of using, that is breaking into the system, is for the good purpose. So here we can have again two reasons why they want to break into the system. First one is that, say, consider an example. If an company is having, there is one particular bank called, say it as a State Bank of India. They have their own website, okay, and they have through those particular website, customers can log into the website and do the transactions, money transactions they can do perform over it, right? Now, if the SBI wants to check the strength of or the security of their own website, okay, what they can do is that they can identify certain IT persons or the who are very good in the hacking, and they can call them and try to ask them that whether will you be able to hack our websites or not? Will you be able to find out certain loopholes, or are there any doors where the hacker can get into and try to breach into the system? So now the purpose of hacking into the system is ethical, because they want to know what are the loopholes in the website. So once the particular hacker tries to break into the system and finds out that there are certain loopholes, and this has to be corrected in order to avoid future hacking by the cyber criminal. And this particular purpose of doing or breaking into the system is for the good reason. Then those who do this particular job or hacking, we can name them as a white hat hackers. Okay, this is one of the reason. Other reason could be that, say, already a particular system or a computer is been hacked, and they want to know that how it has been breached into the system, how the particular criminal got access to this one, what are the reasons, or what were the loopholes, how that particular hacker could enter into the system and he could able to steal the data. In order to identify that particular cause, the individual organization may recruit certain employees as the hacker employees. Then we can call them as again white hat hacker. Based upon the purpose of breaking into the system, we can categorize it into white hat hackers and black hat hackers. Now the third one, that what is something kind of we can't discriminate or distinguish between that particular person, whether that person is a white hat or a black hat. Then such persons we can call them as a gray hat hackers. And these gray hat hackers are very dangerous. Why they are basically dangerous? In the explanation earlier I gave with respect to the SBI, say SBI bank wants to find out whether there are any loopholes. Then they may hire certain employees, certain IT firm or a person who is having very good knowledge on the hacking perspective. And that particular person, hacker, will act as a white hat hacker in that scenario. But later, say if that particular person resigns from the bank and he wants to hack now that particular website for his own purpose, for that is for the illegal purpose, then he can become as a black hat hacker in the next scenarios. So these gray hats hackers, we can't distinguish between what type of work they are doing. Based upon if they are using it for the good purpose, well and good. Otherwise, if it is for the bad purpose, then it will be very difficult to identify such hackers. So broadly, we can have them as a hackers and a crackers. And then in the hackers, we can have white hat, black hat, and the gray hat. These gray hat are something like insiders. If a particular person from the same company, and if they try to hack it, then we can call them as a gray hat hackers. Is that understood, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me. Is my screen visible, students? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Now, the next concepts, the category we had gone through here, the different types of hacking. And now, basically, the hacking, we can call, it falls under the main, what you call it as a online frauds. In order to commit the online frauds, the cyber criminals will be doing kind of a hacking. So what basically they will try to do, they will try to focus on two aspects. First one is the one which we discussed yesterday, that is webjacking, right? In the current scenario, we can refer it as a web spoofing and something related to the email securities. So you might have heard that fraudsters means the criminals who want to do the online fraud activity, they would be sending certain type of emails to the customers. Okay, best examples for the online hacking and all, we can give it to be a anything related to banking sector, or if it is related to the online social media. Okay, any transactions which happens over the internet, and if that can be misused by the criminals, okay, we can refer it to be an online fraud. There are a variety of subcategorizations we can make. Here we will try to discuss on those two aspects. That is one with respect to the banking sector and the other with respect to the social media. Okay. With respect to banking sector, in the sense, each of the bank will be having their own customers, and customers might have opted for the online banking, okay, or mobile banking. So in online banking, how it works, each of the customers, that is the individual persons, will be having credentials in the sense a username and a password. Now, using this particular username and password, they can log into their account online and they can perform various tasks. Okay, various tasks could be what, just as simple as looking their balance in the bank account or transacting money to the other accounts. Okay, now each of the online banking accounts will also be associated with the unique email identity address. Each of the customer will be having an email address, and that email address would have been mapped with respect to the account. In order to log in, when they log in, they will be logging in through the email ID or an username. Now, the fraudsters or the hackers, what they will try to do is that they will try to create a kind of a website. Okay, and that website will look like how the original banking website looks. There will not be any difference in that one, the look and feel of the website. That is the first part. Second part would be that those will be the hackers or the online fraudsters will be able to retrieve or gain the email IDs of the customers of the bank. Okay, now once they get the email IDs, what they will do is that they will send out certain emails to the customers, and the emails will look like a spoofed emails. Okay, the one which we studied earlier, spoofed emails. So the meaning of spoofed email is that it is originated from one particular source, but actually that is not been sent from that. It would have been sent from some different mail address itself. They were just trying to fake the email IDs. So what they will do, they will send it as a, say, SBI bank, but originally that SBI would not have sent that email. The hackers would be sending that email to customers. And the structure of the email will be so much familiar to the customer that when they look into that particular email, they may pretend that, okay, this email has come from the bank itself. And in that email, how the hackers will try to write the content so attractive that as soon as they read through that particular information, the data written in the email, customer will try to react or respond to that particular email, either by clicking certain URLs. So basically in those emails, the hackers would have given some hyperlinks saying that, okay, your account has been locked, because of that reason, you have to reset your password. Okay, something like that. So when customers finds that email that my account is locked, so what they will think, they will think that in order to unlock, I need to do click on that particular link and proceed with respect to unlocking the account. So unknowingly, what they will do is they may do is that they will just click on those URLs. As soon as they click on those URLs, indirectly it will redirect to the websites which have been created by the hackers themselves as a spoofed websites. And when the URL gets appeared on the web browsers, the customer will think that, okay, this is the genuine website only. The look and feel will be same. It will be a kind of a replica of the actual website. They will not be able to bother to the key areas. There could be certain key areas. If they monitor those things, they would be able to catch up. But they will ignore those things and they will enter their username and passwords. As soon as they enter their username and password, what will happen is that in the backend, the hackers would have written small codes. The username and the password data would have been retrieved by them, and they would be reading that and storing it into their database. And as soon as they click on the login button, the spoofed website is so intelligently they could have created. As soon as they click on the login button, it will load the pages for it will take certain few seconds, and in the few seconds it will say that there was a problem with the login. You please log in once again. A pop-up message would appear, and customer would ignore that one. Then they will just click on OK, and then they will re-enter. The next time when the page gets loads, during that time, what the hacker would do, hacker would try to re-link or give a link to the original website. Okay, so in this time frame, when the redirecting from the spoofed website to the original website, the hacker would have already received the username and the password, and they would have been stored in their database. Okay, now when the customer sees the new website, new page there, they will try to enter the username and password, then they could able to log in because it is an original website, and they could see that there is nothing has happened. They couldn't see that it is unlocked and all, nothing they will be able to see there. And they will just say that, okay, something is there, and then they will just click on the logout button and come out of that one. But the hacker would have already retrieved the username and the password in order to break into the customer's login. In the other time, in the later time, the hacker would be using that one in order to steal the data or in order to use the their customers' credentials for illegal activities. So basically in online frauds, most of the online frauds, the hacker would be interested in creating two things. One is the spoofed websites, and second one, spoofed emails. The spoofed emails will be sent to the customers, okay, asking to respond to that particular email, and they would be giving certain links, and those links will redirect them to a spoofed websites. That is how this entire online frauds works. Okay, this is one of the area how it happens. There are other ways also how the hackers will gain into the personal details of a particular customer, or it could be with respect to any individual. Okay, in upcoming class I will just try to demonstrate you how actually that creating the spoof website and retrieving the username and password can be done. Probably tomorrow or day after, in the next class, or on the tomorrow or Monday. Okay, it requires certain amount of time. I will demonstrate you, and also I will tell you how it can be done. Okay, there are certain softwares available. Using those softwares, you can do those kind of hacking. Okay, is that understood, students? The things related to the online fraud and website spoofing. Any doubts there? Hello? Okay.
No, sir.
No, fine. The same thing I just try to put it over here. Spoofing website, email security alerts. Fraudsters create authentic looking websites that are nothing but the spoofs. It prompts user to enter personal information, which is then used to access the business and bank accounts. Okay. Yes. The next concept we are going to study, pornographic offense. Okay, this pornographic offense is with respect to the, I will just first put you through the definition with respect to the legal context. Okay, pornographic offense is something, any visual depiction. Visual depiction means anything which in a picture or in an image or in an video. Okay, a photographic picture or a photographic video which includes the obscene or the unsuitable materials, and for the viewer, and the viewer here is for the child viewers. Okay, if any type of the photograph or a video which is kind of a obscene means irrelevant or not relevant to the users, and the users are of the age we call them as a childs. Okay, for them, if something is something like those types of images or videos are there, then we can call them as a pornographic offenses. Computer can be used in order to generate such type of images or the videos, and basic reason or basic purpose of using these kind of photographs or videos are for the sexually expliciting the videos in order to harm the child's mentality or use the child's for sexual offenses. The persons who do these particular pornographic offenses, we call them as the pedophiles. The legal term, the persons who try to commit the crime, pornographic offenses, we call them as a pedophiles. So usually how do you try to do these particular offenses? By making them a false identity. False identity sense, you might have seen in the some of the videos or in movies and all. If a kid is there, if a child is there who might be coming from the school and all, or in the school area, some peoples, they will try to grab the attention of the kids by showing them giving them certain chocolates or the toys and all. They just try to create a false identity, or they may say that I am uncle of your, I'm a friend of your father, and he has asked me to collect you from the school and all, and by offering certain chocolates or an attractive material. They just try to grab the attention of the students, and then they may, students in the sense the kids, and then they may use those particular kids for sexual harassment. This kind of offenses, what we call it as a pornographic offenses. The false identity, as I said, the false identity they can do, or they just try to extract the children's personal information by gaining their confidence. And in the most of the cases, what happens is that the parents will not be aware about the certain type of the sexual harassment that has been happening with respect to their kids. Most of the cases, not most of the cases, 100% it is with respect to the girl child. You might have heard in the news or newspapers that if a girl is below 18 age, if it is a child, then they might be using them for the pornographic offenses and all. Okay. In Indian penal section or also in the ITA, it is a offense, and I think 4 years, 3 to 4 years imprisonment with the penalty is there. Okay. The next one is something You will find it very relevant with respect to you software piracy. Okay. Okay, before we discuss, I think you know about the software piracy. The best example I can give that, how many of you are using genuine Windows operating system on your desktop or a laptop? Anybody?
It's using pirated.
Using pirated. Most of you might be using pirated copies of the operating system or could be any other softwares. Okay, now here let us try to discuss the certain things. Okay, first I will ask you what would be the problems of using the pirated copies, or do you think that it is there are no problems only and it is for the good purpose because we don't need to pay any amount in order to use those things? Shall we have discussion of software piracy?
Sir, they will get info about our computer. Like
They will get info about
our computer if we are
your
using pirated.
pirated. Okay.
So there are certain features which we cannot use in pirated, but we can use in official Windows.
Yes. So both the points are very good point actually. Okay. First one is most of the pirated softwares what we use, we may not get the full, that is 100% features out of that particular software. Only few of the softwares, the features can be used by the customer. And the second one is that if that particular software which we are using, if its binaries are modified by the hackers and they offer it to you that it is a freeware and or you don't need to pay for this one, I will give it for the free purpose. And you know the mentality of a people is that if something is a free, then we just grab it without looking into the drawbacks of that one, without understanding why it is free. Okay, why that particular vendor is selling it for a free. Okay, because you know nothing is free in the current situation. In the current world, nobody will be trying to give it for anything for the free purpose. There should be certain information they would be collecting from us. Okay, if nothing is there, means at least the personal information of a particular person who is going to use that particular software, they will be collecting that one. Okay, now you might have heard that so many Chinese apps are getting banned in India. The main reason is because of the software piracies or retrieving the data from the person without taking the consent by the person. Okay. There was one, I will just try to discuss with you one with respect to one app, TikTok, right? It was one of the most famous application, mobile app, which was used by the most of the Indians in order to record the videos and put it into the social network. You might have also used a TikTok, but now it is being banned. Okay, now I will tell you one very interesting feature of the TikTok, okay, which you might not be knowing it, right? Now, suppose you are staying in this city, in the TikTok, you may get to see that if you have those settings available based upon your location. Based upon your location, it will display you the videos which you may like. Okay, or the most liked videos or which are most liked by the other people will try to display it onto your mobile or your app. And that happens based upon what? Based upon the location which you have enabled on the device. Basically, how you enable the location settings, you have the GPS, you can turn it on or off. When you turn it on, you think that the TikTok is using GPS in order to monitor your location. If yes, then we are wrong there. TikTok developer don't use the GPS settings. Rather, they use something else. Okay, there was a testing done on the TikTok with respect to this GPS. Okay, what a ethical hacker Okay, I'm using the word here, ethical hacker. What he tried to do is that he tried to create a virtual private network. We will study this virtual private network in the upcoming classes. We call it as VPN. Okay, so VPN is something like if I am at Belgaum city and if I'm connected to the internet, and if I turn on my GPS, then it may say that I am from this particular location, Belgaum city. But if I connect my mobile device through VPN, okay, and the VPN could be taking it, I could be taking the VPN from, say, from the America, any one of the city in the America. Okay, then if I turn on the GPS, then the GPS should try to retrieve the data as this device is connected, and where it is connected, it should display it as to be the city, one of the city from the America itself, if the GPS is activated. Okay, so what this white hat hacker did was he tried to connect the mobile device to the network of a VPN. Okay, then he tried to reset the settings on the app, and he started using the application. Ideally, he should have received certain messages or the videos related to that particular locality, that is of the America region's videos the TikTok would have been given. But unfortunately, it was giving him the, the videos related to his own region. That is, he was from Maharashtra, from that Maharashtra, that from the Mumbai city itself, it was showing up all the information. And then he tried to look into the loophole in this one. What is the problem is happening there? Why this particular discrepancy is being observed? Then when he tried to look into all the rules and regulations, okay, of the TikTok app, and he said that around 100 pages of rules and regulations are there. In that, in a very sub point level, they had mentioned about one particular point. In that point, what they mention is that, what they say is that we track a particular device location, not from the GPS, but from the SIM card access. So SIM card access means, do you know what the meaning of SIM card access? SIM card would have been collecting the information from the tower wise based upon the ISPs, internet service providers. Okay, even if you don't connect to the internet, even the device is not connected to the internet, the TikTok developer could able to grab or get the details where this particular device is located based upon your normal signal strength, or if you just turn on the mobile based upon the SIM card details in which particular area it is available, they could able to grasp it. Like this, the TikTok was misleading. We cannot say that it is misleading. It is there in the rules and regulations. But as an user, we don't try to read all these concepts, all these rules and regulations. We say that if it is a free, okay, let us go ahead and use it, without understanding the drawbacks of the software. So this is just one example of the one app. There are n number of apps, okay, or the softwares which are available, and they are given for the freewares. Okay, nowadays most of the softwares, we cannot directly call them as a piracy. What they are trying to do is that they are trying to develop a software, and to those softwares they are trying to put certain features like this. If an end user encounters the problem, then we cannot blame the vendor there. They would say that it is the consent which we have taken, because we always install the applications or the softwares by reading through those rules and regulations. You might have seen that whenever you try to install, you give a check mark for the rules and regulations. I agree to the rules and regulations of the vendor. Right? We don't bother to look into those areas. That's how the problems comes into picture when we try to use the software which are pirated. So basically, the pirated means the illegally copying certain genuine programs. If there will be one particular program, and that program can be manipulated for the wrong purpose or illegal purpose, then such softwares we can call it as a pirated softwares.